Okay, I'm Jun Wen. I study plants because plants are nice and friendly. I joined the museum in 2005, and I'm a plant systematist and a biogeographer. For my biogeographic work, I emphasized I studied the biogeographic disjunction between Eastern Asia and Eastern North America. For my systematics work, I have focused on the ginseng plant family and the grape plant family. Both are economically very important and also literally very stimulating. For my systematic work, I'm very collection-based. I have published so far 3 systematic monographs, and they are based on extensive herbarium work, field work, as well as phylogenetic analysis based on molecular work. And I'm at the stage of preparing studies on the grape family and exploring the next generation monographic research methods using more of the informatic tools. And our work also involved a lot of training of the young generation, and we have trained many students in the field, using the field as a classroom, as well as training them in the laboratory and to the stage of conducting cutting-edge phylogenetic and biogeographic analysis. And it has been rewarding because many of the trainees in our program have become professors and professional biologists. In terms of our research approach on the study of biogeographic disjunction between Eastern Asia and North America, we have emphasized the use of an extensive phylogenetic framework. So in the last decade, my lab and a few other labs, we have analyzed a lot of plant groups, and we have used the phylogenetic framework as well as fossil evidence to date the divergence times of the disjunction between Asia and North America. Based on our work, it has been interesting that we used this. This is the estimates of the divergence times for multiple plant lineages, about 100 lineages. And so far, we have seen a pattern that in the disjunction between Eastern Asia and Eastern North America mostly have occurred between the age of 5 million to 25 million years. Using the time frame and also the final biogeographic analysis, we have used this to test 2 hypotheses about the plant migrations between the 2 continents. There were 2 land connections between Asia and North America. One was the Bering Land Bridge connection, connecting the 2 continents across the Pacific, and the second is the North Atlantic connection, connecting them across the North Atlantic. And based on 103 disjunct lineages, so that we have hypotheses that the Bering migration has been much more important than the North Atlantic migration. This was interesting because in the 80s, this migration pathway was proposed to be more important, and our current data support the importance of the Bering migration, although the North Atlantic land bridge has involved in many of the lineages as well. And we have used the disjunct groups as a model to study the evolution. Specifically, we have experimented on a study to look at the rates of plant speciation. We used the DNA nucleotide substitution rates as a proxy to look at the regional speciation rates. And our conclusion is based on the multi-lineage analysis. We propose that Eastern Asia has a much faster speciation rates, and the faster, higher rates of speciation are correlated with the heterogeneity and the much more complex topographies in Eastern Asia. Toward the future, we have, in the last decade, we emphasized that many of the temperate lineages, and now we are looking into the examination of more tropical Asian and neotropical disjunctions. And also toward the future, we are looking at the biogeographic analysis on a global scale. And one of the analyses we recently published, well, it's still in press, really stimulated us to think of this direction more highly. It's that we emphasize one of the group in 1 minute. Okay, in the grape lineage, I mean, it suggests that the diversification pattern was much more complex with Africa and South America involved. So we are looking at that in more detail in the next phase. And we have initiated collaborative work with colleagues in other disciplines, especially ecology, paleobotany, and genomics, trying to use this biogeographic disjunction as a model to look at the plant diversification across space and through time. Thank you.
Jun, could you elaborate? I think you had a figure up there earlier on the origin of the 103 taxa. Which was the direction that they were most commonly?
More common from Asia to the New World, about 65% so far. And this was interesting because the review I did was published in 2010. Michael Donahue did one. Michael did one 10 years ago. At that time, it was a bizarre situation that because he only found one lineage migrate from New World into Asia. So after another decade of work, and we have found that about 60% of the direction was from Asia to the New World, and then about 23% from the New World into Asia.